Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over 7 decorating rules that every homeowner should keep in mind. While trends come and go, there are certain fundamental decorating rules that we should always adhere to. If you want a beautiful, functional, and timeless space, then in 2024, you are going to want to literally adhere to these principles because they are crucial as we continue to prioritize comfort, sustainability, and self-expression in our homes. Tip number 1. The first is a point I make over and over again, and I'm not going to stop until we know how to layer our lighting. This is often an afterthought, and it really is the unsung hero of interior design. Most people absolutely ignore it, and it really sets the mood, it sets the ambiance of the space, but it also plays a crucial role in the functionality and task performance here. But it also plays a crucial role in the functionality and task performance. Here are a few different lighting examples that I would like to share. You have to first start with your foundation. So the ambient lighting, such as overhead fixtures or recessed lighting at a minimum, because you guys know I just do not love recessed lighting, is going to be your foundation. Task lighting, such as under-mounted cabinet lights or lamps, really help you to do specific tasks, which is why they're called task lightings, like reading or cooking, and are very much important in being able to live in your home and not being in the dark. Finally, accent lighting, such as sconces and floor lamps and things of that nature, are more decorative, but they're very important because they add depth and dimension to your space. By layering all of these elements, all these different types of lighting, which we talked about, what ends up happening is that you create a visually interesting space. And the visually interesting space is going to ensure that it's both functional and beautiful at the same time. And dimmers and smart lighting these days, I put in a whole Lutron system in my home after the fact because I didn't put it in when I first built the house because I wanted to see how I was living in the house. Really have helped me with just an easy app to turn on and off the lights, certainly create moods, and be able to have functionality of my entire home in the palm of my hand. The next very important point I would like to make is that you must hang your artwork and your mirrors at the correct height. If they are not, I oblige you, I beg you to immediately go and with a hammer, I put up most of my own artwork, unless it's like a very special piece that I have an installer come. This is crucial in adding visual interest and making a room feel a lot larger. By the way, if you guys are lost as to what height your artwork should be or where to place some of these objects, what kind of furniture to use, maybe you want to change your layout, I am always available. I'm just a Zoom click away, and I have had so much fun meeting so many of you over the last year or two, and it's been really a pleasure to be able to help each and every one of you. If you'd like to book a consultation, all you have to do is click the Zoom link in the description section. It's really easy, and my calendar comes up, and then you can just book an appointment. As a general rule, artwork and mirrors really need to be hung at eye level. Now, what does that mean? This is typically 57 to 60 inches from your floor. This will allow for effortless, natural viewing while standing or seated. Most people place their art entirely too high, creating a not very professional look in their homes. Now, there are certain areas that are different, meaning there are certain areas that are going to need a little bit more attention, such as above credenzas or in a powder room where you really want to be closer to 50 to 55 inch. And that is because you don't want to be too far up from a credenza. You don't want to go too high. So keep that in mind. If your coffee table just does not feel right in your space, well, this tip is really going to be for you. But before we get into that tip, I'm going to ask you to please click that subscribe button because we're going to have so many informational videos, and we certainly don't want you to miss any of them, and we definitely want to get to that 100,000 mark. Tip number 3. The correct size coffee table is critical in your space. It is an anchored piece and it needs to be in proportion. So your coffee table height is as important as any other element in your home. It has to be same height as your sofa. It can't be too high or that looks very awkward. It can't be too low. But certainly too high is probably the worst mistake you can make. For the size of the coffee table, you might ask, well, what size should it be? The general rule of thumb that I always adhere to is that your coffee table should be about 2/3 the length of your sofa. If you look in my room, my coffee table is a little bit bigger than that, but I have a statement coffee table that is here. It's a vintage piece from the 70s, but 2/3 is about right. You can go slightly bigger, but remember, it depends on the piece. Mine is glass, and so it's very airy, but if it's wood, you really don't want to overpower the room and dwarf your sofa or other pieces in the room. You also have to consider the shape of the coffee table. I have noticed many people have coffee tables that are of odd shapes that don't really complement the sofa. Having an oval coffee table is really nice because it allows for airy movement within the room, and it allows for people to be able to walk past certain areas in a room, and that is important to consider. Now, a square version might work better in an L-shaped space where space is tight and proportion is also important. If you have a long flowy room, you can go with a rectangle, but if you have a tighter L shape, then a rectangle makes most sense. Now, if you have a curved sofa, the ideal coffee table would be a round table because it'll mimic the curvature of the sofa. Now, the other thing you need to get right are the dimensions of the rug in your home. Many of you know I have designed a rug line precisely for that reason, and I actually begged Ruggable to make the larger 9x12 size, which they've just recently launched, I'd say about 6 months ago. If you're interested in any of these rugs, they're going to be in the description section. I love them, they're washable, and they are beautifully designed. Rugs have the power to quite literally transform your room, whether it's by color, shape, design, bringing in freshness, bringing in a lot of newness to your home. This is a great way to change things up. Now, if you choose the wrong size, it can dwarf your space. If you choose a very big rug, it's going to overwhelm your space. So it's very important. One of the biggest elements of interior design is proportion and scale, and therefore you just can't jerry-rig this. You have to measure. You want to make sure that your pieces of furniture that are in the room are all touching the rug. If it's a living room you are decorating, then make sure at least the front legs of your sofa and the front legs of your occasional chairs are at least on this rug. Typically in a very large space, a 9x12 works, and in smaller spaces, I would say 6x9, 8x10 for a medium room. But again, you have to make sure that there is contact between all of the elements in the room, the rug and the furniture. Now, for the primary bedroom, you want to make absolutely certain that your rug is between 18 to 24 inches beyond the sides and foot of the bed frame. Never have the rug under the bed, meaning that the legs are floating. This makes you feel very sort of out of balance, and it is important to feel grounded when you're in your bed, especially when you're sleeping. Now, the rule typically is an 8x10 works beautifully for a queen, and you have to get a 9x12 or bigger if you have a king bed. In the dining room, you want to make absolutely certain that your rug accommodates all of your chairs. There's nothing worse than having a chair teeter-totter as you're eating, and therefore this is one of the crucial reasons why you can't just have the front leg. So unlike your living room, the dining room has its own special rules. In standard dining rooms, typically an 8x10 rug should work just fine. By selecting the proper rug tailored to each room's specific dimensions and furniture layouts, you are visually delineating the zones of the home, and you are creating walkways and connectors between all of your spaces. This enhances the natural flow between rooms, and it also physically is grounding, and it also grounds different design elements. So you can have different kinds of designs in different rooms grounded by different rugs. Next, you must avoid the following: awkward curtain heights. This is a mistake I see time and time again, and it really is bothersome to the eye, and nothing screams unprofessional or I do not know about interior design or haven't paid much attention than an incorrect length of a curtain. When a curtain is not touching the floors, there's a problem. There's a very big problem. So it has to at least touch or can puddle up to, I would say, 2 inches, unless you're doing something very dramatic and you have a large home and you want to make a statement. It really needs to just basically kiss the floor. Mount the drapery rods about 4 to 6 inches out from your window frame and about minimum 8 inches from the top of the frame, if not higher. The higher that you mount your drapery rods on your walls, the taller your ceilings are going to appear, and the better will be, and the better this will look. By hanging the curtains closer to the ceiling line, what you're effectively doing is reassigning the eye's perception of where the room's vertical boundaries lie. Instead of the window acting as the upper stopping point, the fabric panels now draw the gaze upward to the new highest point, the rod positioning. This establishes a much greater ceiling height and instantly imbuing the space with an airier and much more exquisite look. So while it may seem like a minor detail, hanging your curtains in the right location is critical. Another very important design tip that I want to give you is to make sure not to forget about contrast. One high impact technique when it comes to contrasting is to paint your baseboards, your crown moldings, your trims, all in the same crisp sheen, making them pop against the same color wall. I typically ask for a satin sheen when it comes to my trims and more of an eggshell when it comes to my walls so that they can be easily cleaned. You can also play it with various finishes, perhaps a high gloss trim against matte walls, or an eggshell sheen casing with flat paint. All of these things can be done beautifully as long as you are adhering to the same color. But if you want to, for example, bring in a pop, as I do, my home has all black doors, and the casing of my doors are also black, and this makes it pop against all of the white walls. Lastly, while aesthetic beauty is very important in interior design, it shouldn't be the driving force. Livability and function is also very important. As a designer, it is my job to strike an artful balance between beauty and livability. Decompress and admire, but also highly functional environments that can act as useful spaces and really be able to help you in your day-to-day lives. In 2024, this ethos of purposeful living is really going to be prominent and a priority. For example, an open concept kitchen should prioritize ample workspace and storage paired with ergonomic layouts for seamless food prep. A comfortable media lounge should be oriented towards the entertainment unit with accommodating supportive seating, all while maintaining the beauty and the importance of balance in your home. A home's office needs to have a desk that is large enough for one to work in. And it must have good creative lighting that not only light the room, but also provide the task lighting necessary to sit and work. Invest in high quality fabrics that are performance fabrics that are stain resistant and resistant to fading. Opt for rugs that are washable, such as Ruggable, or even tiles that are commercial grade so that you can have foot traffic in your home and not have your home weather so quickly. Want more tips on how to decorate like a pro? Well, join me here on this video where I will show you exactly how to do that.